Joseph Smith said that these records were engraven on plates which had the appearance of gold. Each plate was 6 inches wide, 8 inches long, and not quite so thick as common tin. So I want you to imagine you've taken an average can and you've opened it up, and this would probably be, probably a little thinner than most, but, but about the thickness of common tin, he says. This is what each plate was supposedly, that's the size that he gives us. The volume was something near 6 inches in thickness, a part of which was sealed. I want you to imagine for a moment, this is a usual rendition of what the gold plates look like. Now on Saturdays, I volunteer at the Utah Lighthouse Bookstore down on West Temple, across from Franklin Covey Field. And in the bookstore, we have on display a set of lead plates, which would be lighter than gold. But they are the same size that Joseph Smith gives in this account in the documentary History of the Church, Volume 4, page 537. The lead plates are the same size, sitting on a little table there, and I really think the bookstore probably needs to get extra insurance for this, because it's always fun to watch people come into the bookstore and they see the plates there and they see their size, and they don't look all that large. I mean, they're not that large, really. And of course, there's a sign saying that these resemble what the plates probably looked at. Of course, lead is almost a black color, whereas these would be a goldish color. And then watch people go to grab them and lift them up. They don't move. They don't move. The first jerk, I find most people, and I don't mean people being a jerk, I mean jerk meaning jerking with their legs and their arms. Okay, I better make that clear before I'm taken out of context. The first jerk that tries to pick these up. No, when they go to grab them, because they don't look all that heavy, the first impulse is they stop and they don't go anywhere. Then they grab it again, and then they lift up with their legs and their arms, and they get it maybe a couple inches, 3, 4 inches. Now you have to understand, Joseph Smith probably did not know how heavy gold was. He came from a very poor family. He probably saw a few gold coins in his life, but seeing that much gold as they claim was probably very unlikely. He had no idea how heavy this was. So to tell a story like this without really thinking it through is not that far-fetched for me to understand. But the fact is that according to the story by Joseph Smith, he supposedly took these plates out of the ground. And has anybody ever seen The Work and the Glory, Volume 1 in the film? I almost laughed out loud when I was watching this in the theater, because when Joseph Smith goes to get the gold plates out of the ground, he puts them in like a pillowcase and jerks them out of the ground, like not quite over his shoulder. And I thought, first of all, no pillowcase could have held that weight, and second, Joseph Smith would have never done it that way. If they were real plates, according to what he just said, it's impossible. To put this in perspective, here's what I want you to do. The next time you're at Lowe's or you're at Home Depot, I want you to go over into the cement section, and I want you to go grab a bag of Portland cement, all right? A bag of Portland cement weighs about 98 pounds. You might say, well, Bill, how do you know this? Well, for 2 years after I first got married, I worked at a hardware store, and we had to load Portland cement for customers. And believe me, it gets a little heavy after a while when you have people coming in wanting a lot of bags of cement. These things are not light. I want you to imagine Joseph Smith taking a bag of Portland cement, taking it out of the ground, putting it in a linen frock, that's the way his mother described it, wrapping it in a linen frock, tucking them under his arm and heading for home about 3 miles away. That's the story that we're supposed to believe here. That's what we're being told to believe. Well, anyway, it just didn't happen. But even though his mother says that while he was heading for home, there were a group of men who tried to steal the gold plates from him, and she talks about how Joseph Smith fought off these attackers, and then with the plates under his arm, ran at the top of his speed, jumping over logs and whatever else you might have, until he finally got home in a state of exhaustion. This story is just incredible. It's not believable. It's incredible, but it's not believable. And unfortunately, a lot of people do believe this to be a true story.